My name is Mo Fan. He is an ordinary high school student. It's bigger than usual. He gets nervous when his teachers or father asks him which high school he's going to go to, or what he plans to do in the future. Getting out of bed, the guy turns off the alarm clock. He looks at the clock, which says 6:15 am. With his current grades, he doesn't think he can get into high school at all. Father, I've often tried to cheer him up, but lately he's been working day and night to keep them happy. At least there was food on the table. Mo Fan goes to the table and sees a note from his father that says, "It is reported that the man went to work and will not return home today." He asks his son to protect myself. Mo Fan thinks that his fate was sealed long ago. For example, the guy who answers, now at the board, Mu Bai. His family belongs to the Mu clan. He was born into a good family, gets good grades. The hero considers him lucky. The guy understands that only with people like him should talk about the future. The teacher tells the students that there will be no classes in the afternoon, so they can go home and study there. It says on the blackboard that the exams are only 10 days away. Go to your desk. The hero is approached by his classmate, offering to play League of Legends. The hero is the same, says he's done for today, and he's already promised Old Ying that he'll visit him. Fat man with declares that with such results, not one of them can be found. The high school won't take him, and he'll end up working for Mu Bea. These words make the hero's friend angry. He wants to comment on these words of Zhao Kunsan, but Mo Fan puts his hand on his shoulder. The guy replies that everything is fine. These actions surprise Xiao, who, because his friend is holding on too calm, so he has a logical question about what's wrong with him. Hero summons, give up on the bullies and go home. The blue-haired upstart, Mu Bai, has a searing look. She sees the guys off. Mo Fan goes to the foot of the mountain. Going up the slope, the hero admits to himself that he envies this old man, because it would have been better. It's cool to live in such a carefree atmosphere. The guy opens the door, telling the old man that he's here. A hoarse voice asks the young man to come over, saying he's in the backyard. The hero takes off, because he feels something is wrong. It runs through, across the house, asking if the owner was all right. The same person tries to stand up, leaning on the floor, a stick of some sort, but his whole body is shaking. Mo Fan doesn't hesitate to help the old man get there. He goes to bed, then brings her a glass of water. The same person notices that there is no one else here, and the guy is the only one who comes to make him a campaign. The young man does not understand what the old man is talking about, because he believes that the things that the old man is talking about, some of them are very interesting. The man coughs, asking if he's talking about the nonsense he's talking about, which he talks to all the time. The hero gives a positive answer, adding that the interlocutor, he said that in addition to their world, there is also a magical world. At this point, the old man begins cough loudly. He puts a handkerchief to his face, which quickly turns scarlet. Colors. Cold sweat runs down the hero's face, and he nervously asks if everything is all right. Mail in. He says he doesn't have much time left. Mo Fan asks you not to say that, because he knows everything. Still wants to hear his stories. The old man puts the locket in the boy's hands, asking him to take it. He says they don't have much time, so he'll call an ambulance. The dying man grabs his arm. Brush without letting go. The owner of the house asks not to forget to bury him under the mountain, after which his eyes close. Hero, in a panic, the other person's body shakes, urging him to wake up. His eyes are filled with disbelief and disbelief. Horror. The sun is gradually sinking below the horizon. The world is illuminated by its light red rays of light. A guy buries an old man under a huge tree. He puts his hands together in a prayer gesture and says. He closes his eyes, hoping that the old man will be fine in another world. The hero looks at the pendant, remembering that the old man always said that it was an ancient artifact, and that it's already several thousand years old. The guy admits that no matter how you look at it, the pendant doesn't look right. The old one. He decides he'll deal with it later because it's getting dark. He still has classes in the morning, so we should go to bed. Mo Fan turns off the light and closes her eyes. At this point, the pendant, which he has hung around his neck, starts to glow white. In the dead of night, a powerful beam of energy hits the city center directly from space. This generates a powerful explosion. The hero wakes up in the morning as if nothing has happened. He goes to the mirror and says, brushing her teeth. After getting dressed, he leaves the house, mentally noting that he woke up a little early today, so he decides to go out and buy himself something for breakfast. Then the wind begins to stir his hair, and the wind blows it out of his eyes. Then he looks up at the sky. He assumes that it may start to rain, but in his case, I can see the shock of what I saw in my eyes. Over the guy's head, people are literally flying somewhere. He clutches his head, trying to understand. What the hell is going on here? The guy comes to the conclusion that he is hallucinating because of hunger. He begins to run down the street, believing that everything that is happening is only the fruit of his bad imagination. Then Mo-fan notices that the breakfast stand is still in its place, but there is a small table in the middle of the room. There is a dispute between two personalities. Apparently, customers are asked if the cook can do it or not, because if not, he will find another stand. The hero approaches the owner of the stand, asking what happened. He tells us what would have happened. Well, be an electric magician here, emphasizing that even a beginner will suit him. However, his electric stove and grill don't work, so he can't start working. The guy thinks that he just has his ears plugged, noting that it seems to him that there is only someone's brain isn't working. The cook, of course, does not like such words, so he reminds him that he's always been nice to him, so why is he getting this in return? During this time, a queue of people has already gathered. The guy standing second reports that the magician electricity is 1 in 1,000, so it doesn't think there's even one nearby. The first one notices that he's a water mage, so there's nothing he can do to help. Third in line, the young man is very nervous because he does not know if he will have time to eat breakfast, because he does not have so much time to eat. A lot of time. A man with a walking stick leads a child, saying that ordinary people like them can't live without the help of magicians. In the head of the hero, a real pun begins from what he has heard. A person comes out of the crowd who wants to take a look at the problem. Mo-fan recognizes him as Hu-Duan Chan, a physics teacher. He thinks he's finally found a normal person. The guy asks, "Mr. Hu, look at the problem," reporting that the owner of the breakfast stand said that the electric stove broke down. Inwardly, he asks to fix Tom's head while he's here. The teacher recognizes his student, a little surprised that he is also here. He admits that I was going to see if he could fix it, but then he casually asks if he did. Does the student have a magic theory homework assignment that he gave him yesterday, because he uses questions from it on today's test? Mo-fan freezes at this misunderstanding, noting to himself that Faraday and Maxwell would jump out of their graves at this. These two were discoverers of electric and magnetic fields. Hu-Duan Chan informs everyone that he is a magician. Fire, and even if he can't fix the stove, he can make a fire for cooking. Stand owner grabs the man by the hand, thanking him for his help because he saved him. The man encourages everyone to watch carefully. In the air next to it begin to appear orange circles. The crowd disperses, and a few moments later, the teacher's hand appears. The fire he uses to set the stove on fire. Everyone is happy with this development of events, because they are finally, I can have breakfast. Only the hero is in shock from what is happening. Approaches the boy and puts his hand on his shoulder, asking if he has been studying all night. After that, he explains his suspicion by saying that the guy doesn't look good. Mo-fan notes that Mr. Hu shouldn't reprimand him for his painstaking work. The man says he is too. When I was young, I was very fond of scientific books, but the guy has already grown up, so it's time to understand the difference. And the final exams will start soon, so he should take care of himself. It is then that the hero remembers the old man who asks him that he died yesterday, about whether he believes that in addition to their world, there is also a magical one. He said that in that world, science is magic. Then the dark-haired man assumes that he has fallen into the magical world that he has heard about from the stories. The old man, however, still doubts the reality of what is happening. Mr. Hu notes that he still needs to prepare the power magic installation, so he says goodbye to the student. The hero also says goodbye to the teacher. At this moment, something happens on the road. Unusual for our world. Workers have blocked the passage and are making a road. Someone is shouting that he needs to. We need a different kind of land to lay asphalt here. Another is wondering where the water mages are, which should control the temperature. Right out of the back of the truck into the air lifts it. The contents that turn into asphalt in the hands of one of the workers. As Mo-fan watches this, he realizes that he is indeed in the world of magic, but he does not know what to do. He believes that this is not so bad, because today the results should have been available for math, and thanks to the world of magic, he was able to dodge it. The guy assumes that he has a chance to put his plan into practice in a new world. Coming to school, the hero finds himself in a very awkward situation. The teacher reports that his something very disturbing. Noting that the exams are already on the nose, he emphasizes that Mo-fan scored only 6% on Star Trek Alchemy. A man asks a guy to take his own test. which, by the way, was designed for 120 minutes. The hero is covered in sweat from this because it turns out that in this world, he is still a loser. The teacher walks between the desks saying that Mo Fan should benefit from the last few days before the exam. Otherwise his results wouldn't be even half as good as Mu Bai's. Oh, the same fat man as before turns to the hero, asking if the correct name was given to him by his father. In general, after all, it definitely does not correspond to it in any way. A friend of the hero calls to close his mouth, Ju Kun-san, after which he asks the hero not to worry about it, because they bark but do not bite. Mo Fan notices that they are acting like children. Privately, he thinks they might be talking nonsense, as long as they want, because once he understands how the world works, they'll see who's going to be there. Have the last laugh. Later in the evening, students are released, asking not to forget several times. View all important exam points. Moving along the street with a friend, the hero decides to find out from the latter where the school is located. Library. Zio, who is a little surprised by this question, but still points out the place where she is. Then he asks if Brother Fan is ill. He thanks you for your help, asking you to go on without him, because he just wants to see something. A friend freezes in place from this. He scratches the back of his head, trying to figure out what kind of fly has bitten Brother Fan. He wants to believe that the words Ju Kun-san wasn't so much angered by him, and he just decided to work enthusiastically on the project. The good of the state. Mo Fan stops in front of a huge building, realizing that it is a library. On his face, he smiles, because he can't wait to see what kind of magical world this is. The guy starts with a history of magical laws. This society is divided into two types of people, magi and people. Ordinary people are responsible for production, and magicians protect ordinary citizens from incursions and damage, and they are also responsible for maintaining order around the world. To say that magicians are considered heroes of this world. The key to becoming a magician is to awaken magically. Different people awaken with different abilities. Many are associated with natural elements, such as, for example, wind, fire, light, lightning, ice, and earth. But his magical awakening may be only in high school. Based on the current knowledge of the rules of this world, for him it will be impossible. Mo Fan picks up the pendant, noting that he really wants to become a magician. Then the guy is pulled out of his thoughts by a voice from the side. My father asks me what happened and if I like it. He likes the food he made today. The hero quickly comes to his senses, saying that this is his favorite dish. The man asks if his son cares about something. Mo Fan states that he wants to continue to learn magic. The father wants to object, but the boy interrupts him, saying that he himself is the same. He knows that his grades are bad. The man notes that, in fact, he wanted the guy to. After his graduation, he began to travel long distances performing various tasks, assignments. The hero realizes that he is too naive, because even in this world, his father is still fighting for every piece of bread, and he torments him with such requests. The man clarifies whether the son really is. He wants to learn. The guy raises his head, looking up from his food. My father asks if he really is. I decided that I would continue to study magic. Mo Fan jumps up from his seat and, putting his hand to his chest, he declares that he really wants to study magic. The exam was finally over. Students are happy about this, because now they are free. Hero, together with his friend walking down the street. A friend asks what the hero's plans are after graduation. He also says that he is thinking of going to high school, although he doubts that he will succeed. This, and then asks the same question to the other person. He happily replies that he has the same plans, and that it would be so cool if they both did. They entered Tianlin High School. A friend asks you to wait a bit, because he wants to buy them drinks. Mo Fan makes a mental note that it would be nice if he could at least go to college. High school. Someone behind the hero's back talking had already shown their respect for the Jackson family. Then the boy looks around, noticing his father, who is talking to a dignified man. A man in a suit. The latter says that even when his son committed that terrible act, it was an act that allowed him to stay in the service, but this time it went too far, so he asks the hero's father to leave. The man begins to beg the interlocutor. Mo Fan's father falls to his knees, begging Big Brother Mew to reconsider his request only in the end. This time, the same one turns around on the spot, asking why Jackson is doing this again. A man notices that the tuition fees at the Tianlin Magic School are too high for him. A family, and he doesn't have the money for it. The interviewee notes that he also does not have the money for this, and does not need to pay for it. We should not forget that he does this for him, paying attention to the grades of his son, who he would never become a magician. The father trembles, bowing his head like a slave and asking for help in this matter. Once, he states that if the man helps them, they will immediately move out of Muji's house, so his family will be forced to leave. Bugger will never see Mu Ningsu again. Brother Mu notices that this is already. It looks like a bargain, so he promises to think about it. The hero's father thanks the interviewee, not believing in him. Your happiness. At this time, Mo Fan is frowning at such a deal. The man in the suit says that he will only be able to provide Tom with a place, and then he will have to achieve everything on his own. The father declares that his son will be very grateful to him for such an opportunity. A friend approaches the guy, asking what happened and what happened to his face. Mo Fan only. He shakes his head, telling me to go. In the evening, his father informs him that he has good grades. News for him. He says that his son can enter the Tianlin Magic School. The man notes that he ran into a friend in the dean's office and was able to secure a place for him. So he asks if the guy isn't happy about the opportunity. Mo Fan's frown only deepens, because now he's sure that today's conversation will be over. It definitely wasn't a figment of his imagination, but he hides his emotions behind a smile, saying that it was a dream. Very cool, and that he deserves to be called his father 6 times more. The man laughs at this, asking you to leave such statements to your old man, because he may be just a driver, but you have. He still has connections. The man says that they will have to rent out their house because the cost of studying in high school. The magic school isn't that small, so they'll have to save money, but anyway. The guy will study there, and he will continue to go on business trips, although he is usually not at home. Mo Fan agrees to this, thanking her father. It is very difficult for a guy to fall asleep at night, because he is. I thought that everything would be different in this world. The hero grabs the pendant that he received from the old man, realizing that his father continues. Remain an empty space for influential people. This is very cruel, so Mo Fan squeezes fingers into fists, deciding that he will become a great magician who will be better than each of them. The events are transferred to the high school for the study of magic Tianlan. 2 friends coming up to. One of them calls Brother Fan to take a look, because they are both in class number 8. The fat man who bullied the hero during his studies comes up to the lists, surprised to realize that he is. I was in the same class as them again. He laughs, saying that Mo Fan is really in last place, after which he asks if he knows the fact that this list is based on the results of testing. The fat man points to the guy behind him, emphasizing that their master is the master of the group. Mubai always comes first. A friend of the hero gets angry, calling an old friend a brat and asking if he was looking for a fight. Mo Fan puts a hand on his shoulder, telling him to cool down because the school-wide meeting will start soon. Finally, the bully calls Xiao who a stray dog, waving goodbye. It makes me angry. Moreover, however, the hero does not allow him to pounce on the impudent one. Then the events are transferred to the same location. Meeting. A handsome man in a suit with a red bow tie, thick eyebrows and beautiful hair. Uzami informs the dear students that they are welcome at the Tianlan Magic Academy. He thinks that they are very worried now, because from today on they will set foot on a bright road. Magic, so he decides to put it succinctly. The man declares that the development of humanity is the duty of future magicians, and protecting it is theirs. Its purpose, so it encourages you to remember something forever, beyond the border of the calm. A peaceful city is in danger. At the end of the speech, he wants to say that he hopes that he will become a strong and powerful magician. Students are sent to class. The teacher starts talking. He thinks that after the director's speech, they had at least some idea of becoming a mage, and now they would awaken them. Forces. Here the fat man raises his hand, asking what will happen if someone fails to do it. He explains his question by saying that he has heard that there is a person in their class who got here through connections, so he has little chance of the force awakening. Mo Fan lowers her head, squeezing her hands together. Fists. Whispers run through the classroom. One says it just can't happen. After all, as far as he knows, no one has failed to awaken magic in 10 years, and if they do, if you fail, it will become an incredible scandal. The teacher is a little confused by this question, but still reports that this really happened earlier, so this is considered a huge failure, and the loser will be immediately expelled. Badass. He throws his hands behind his head, saying that someone just barely transferred here, and you'll be here soon. Kicked out so much that he even feels sorry for the poor guy. The hero notes to himself that he does not know anything, because when the power will awaken in him, and he will regret saying it. The teacher decides to start from the list. The first, of course, was Mubai. one of my classmates. He turns to the guy who gave the voice, noting that he is not only handsome, but also an excellent student. Another representative of the fair sex admits that she already likes it, and she doesn't even like it. He knows what kind of power he will have. Odnoklassnik emphasizes that it will definitely not be the forces of light and water, for these are weak symbols. After hearing all this, the teacher decides to clarify whether this means that the guy in the family has been studying for generations. Magic? He gives a positive answer, after which the man emphasizes that it will be good if he will have ice magic, because then he will be much stronger than ordinary students, but not. Do not forget about diligence and hard work, because talent and giftedness do not solve everything. Mubai states that talent doesn't solve everything, but without it, you're nothing. Mubai knows that if he doesn't have ice magic, he won't be worth a dime, but he will. He believes that, in any case, in this awakening, he will definitely win. With similar features, his thoughts touch the crystal ball. Classmates enthusiastically declare that the guy really has ice magic. The teacher notes that this is great, because it is very clean ice, which will eventually become bigger and will shine. Privately, the man realizes that during the awakening of the forces, the disciple, I froze this ball, which is an indicator of real talent. The teacher admires this. Nubai is also a pro. He is happy about this, because if he fully masters this magic, he will be closer to mastering it. The traditional magic of your family. The fat man says that this is not surprising, because this is Mr. Mubai, who will definitely be able to train with you in a while. Miss Mu, the badass, says that now they will have to look at the cheater loser. These words make a friend angry. The hero who asks if he's looking for a fight. The teacher approaches Zhang Xiaohu, asking what they are discussing. He hovers over the guy, asking if he wants to go to the party. The awakening of the forces. The guy agrees. He turns out to have wind magic, after which he is summoned. The next one. After a while, Mo Fan is summoned. He goes out to the ball. There are whispers behind him. Classmates who think that he was the one who got here because of his connections. Just his friend supports the guy, urging him not to pay attention to that trio of fools. The teacher asks the boy to put his hand on the ball. Believe in himself, close his eyes and listen to the music. To your heart. There is a deathly silence. The hero has not yet managed to touch up the ball as one of the Odnoklassniki notices that there is no reaction at all. Another thinks it's like to fail. The fat man is already beginning to laugh, clarifying where he left off, and then continues, saying that this loser doesn't deserve to go to their school. A friend steps in for the hero, stating that Brother Fan hasn't shown up yet. Bully smiles, asking if he really thinks so. Their conversation interrupts the teacher, prescribing both on the back of the head, calls to stop talking. Mo Fan opens his eyes in space. He assumes that this is the world of magic he is talking about. It was told in a book, so he doesn't know why it's not there, because it was written in a book. It says that if you see a galaxy, it means that the awakening was successful. Hero, he looks up and sees a huge cluster of stars around a bright light source. He understands that this is the galaxy, so he did everything right. That's when the guy notices something strange. He sees not a simple galaxy, but a purple one. Into this, for a moment, he has a vague idea of its power. At this time, the teacher adjusts his glasses, amazed at what he saw. The guy from the next class awakened the thunder magic. It's a 1 in a million power. This event causes strain all those present. Even the fat man opens his mouth in surprise. Mo Fan opens his eyes, realizing what kind of power he has, but in the next moment, he falls into a deep sleep, into a stupor. He looks around, but the classroom is empty. The guy is trying to figure out where everything is going. Gone. A crowd gathers at the entrance to the next classroom. Students' voices are heard. One of them shouts at the whole house. The corridor that class number 7 has a student who has the power of thunder. Another with interest. He looks into the classroom, noticing that this is indeed the power of thunder. At this time, the hero holds his hand on a crystal ball. Several bolts of electricity with the characteristic crackle of thunder form. There's a hemisphere around his arm. Someone in the crowd thought that the power of fire was the strongest. People are starting, pushed to see this force. The kid in the front row is happy to say that he doesn't. I expected to see the owner of the power of thunder with my own eyes. Someone in the crowd notices that they have heard that this power falls to 1 in a million. The other one is just, it's amazing how incredible and cool it is. The teacher hides his joy, noting about, imagine that if there was already a thunder power holder in class number 7, then the teacher of this class would have to. Just lucky, and the salary will be given more, and will increase. Then the man calls the students. Calm down, because Mo Fan is still waking up. Then the bullies in the crowd remember that this is just only a loser, so they start to change the crowd's opinion of the hero. Mo-fan can't believe what he's hearing. He's angry at the words, and he's also annoyed by the fact that he doesn't know what to say. They take you for a deaf person. The guy mentally asks them only to wait until he has fully mastered the power of thunder, and then they'll see what they can tell him. Then he notices something strange. Hero. He looks down and sees that the balloon has begun to heat up, turning orange. He is perplexed by what happened. Here a friend declares that Brother Fan has the power of fire. Odnoklassniki are surprised by this development. Events. The fat man also believes that Jang Zio-hu is exaggerating, and the latter calls out. The other person should go and see if they don't believe him. The teacher says that the guy has a talent, after which he calls on everyone to calm down and sit down. The hero passes next to an excellent student, who is clearly dissatisfied with the fact that he stood out more. A friend praises the hero, saying that he is very strong, because the element of fire is quite strong. Powerful. Mo-fan humbly thanks him for the praise, mentally remembering that the power of fire is so strong. I surprised all the students, so he asks himself what will happen if they find out that the power of thunder awoke in him. He suggests that their jaws may fall off. The birth of two forces happens only once in hundreds of years. A huge rarity is the combination of two the most powerful magics, thunder and fire. The hero is amazed at what a huge potential he has for success. This is why he asks his father to watch him, because he will definitely fully master these skills. Power and become a powerful magician. Then no one would dare look down on them. The teacher sums up the results in his head. His class has 2 powers of fire and 1 power of ice, and in class number 7 has awakened 1 power of thunder, which is very rare. A man coughs into his hand, attracting the attention of students. He congratulates everyone on the awakening of their powers, even though it's not a big deal. Just the beginning. The man scribbles something on the blackboard with chalk, then announces that their first lesson in learning magic is about releasing magic. A month passes. The hero takes a place on a branch of one tree, remembering the words of the teacher. The release of forces is based on 3 stages, the first of which is concentration. Concentration is a deep immersion in yourself, during which you cannot be distracted. After releasing your powers, you can see exactly the color of your galaxy, immersed in yourself. Following all of Master's instructions, Mo-fan is happy that his thunder power has already improved. At the next lesson, the teacher notes that everyone has done very well in these 2 months. He highlights Mubai, who has already started training in strength control. Excellent student closes his eyes, taking praise for granted. Whispers behind his back make him happy. Someone is amazed. How cool is the guy, because the speaker couldn't even summon his galaxy properly. Others admit that Mubai is much more talented than them. Mo-fan, on the other hand, notices in his mind that he learned how to summon galaxies of thunder and fire powers, so it's time to train your control above the forces. The second stage is the most difficult in releasing the power, taking control of them. The stars and planets in the galaxy move at random, and the task of the magician is to arrange and level them, so that they turn in their places like the planets of the solar system. The hero focuses on himself, repeats what he has to do, and, reaching out, says, "Galaxy," trying to do it. In his hands is a galaxy in which the stars begin to appear. Get organized. The guy laughs, thinking that this is just a power control, so there's nothing to do here. Boast. Mo-fan is concentrating on the task at hand, but he knows that it won't be so easy. After a few moments, he falls back on the grass under a tree. He forgets about past attempts, making a new one. He reaches the 4th star, but he can't seem to put it back in its place. He looks up at the sky, realizing that the 3rd star is now his limit. At that time, a friend approaches the girl in the wheelchair, asking if Xingxia will go with her. She thanks him, but refuses the offer, wanting to wait for her little brother, who is supposed to see her off. Friends say goodbye. After a while, the hero resorts to his sister, asking for forgiveness for keeping her waiting so long. So she says that there is nothing wrong, because she is only from school. The girl hands the guy a handkerchief, offering to wipe away the sweat. Xingxia points out that her little brother doesn't need to see her off every day, because after that, he still needs to. Going back to class that should be quite tiring. Mo-fan states that he promised to her mother that he would see her off every day, and he was not going to break his promises, so now he would see her off every day. The girl says that she feels that all she does is add to his problems. The hero does not understand what she is talking about, because it is natural that the brother cares about his own. My little sister. The guy asks you to wait for him near the park, and not to take a single step without him. My little sister can Just agree with it. The hero focuses on his power, trying to reorder it. A countdown is being made for the number of stars who have taken their places, however, does not have enough strength to finish the job. With a sigh, he bends over, catching his breath and cursing that he stopped at the last one again. The star, Mo-fan looks up at the sky. The sun is already nearing the horizon. He is aware that at this time, Xingxia should have already finished school. The guy admits that he would like to show her his thunder power, but to do that, he needs to train more. Tossing the bag over his shoulder, the hero goes to meet his sister. The guy comes out of the park and looks around. He doesn't see the girl, so in his mind's eye, he sees her. He wonders where she is, because they agreed to meet near the park. After passing a little bit forward, the hero discovers his little sister sitting on her knees near the swing. He runs up to her, asking if she had fallen and where her chair was. The girl apologizes, and Mo-fan asks not to do it. He holds out his hand to help her stand up. Then a guy comes up behind them, asking if the guy can see that they're playing with this girl. The girl, coming closer, he advises the hero to get out of here and quickly because their boss put eye on this disabled beauty. Mo-fan throws off his briefcase, grabbing the boy's shirt and pulling him towards her. He asks for that. Repeat his last words, if you have the guts. The scoundrel clarifies what it is and does not want to. He will become a hero in front of the beauty. 3 more approach the swing. One of them is holding a bat. These words completely infuriate the guy. With a powerful blow, he knocks the bandit away, sending him flying. A few drops of blood on the ground. Mo-fan urges them to get away from his sister, and to make his intentions clear, he says he needs his knuckles. The guy grabs his nose, and then he calls the others. Attack him. The little sister asks her brother not to do this, because there are too many of them. Then another bandit approaches from behind, asking the beauty not to worry, because they will leave him alive. The man grabs the girl by the chin, noting that only she understands everything. The hero also calls on the scoundrel to remove his dirty paws from her. Then a guy with a bat brings up a weapon to hit, asking where the hero is looking. Powerful, the blow lands on the back of Mo-fan's head, who is only momentarily distracted. Little sister plaintively, she shouts her brother's name. The bit can't handle this and breaks. One of the bandits notes that the kid has a strong head, and the other one notices that he's had enough, so they take the girl. Mo-fan also realizes that Xingxia is in danger, and he promised to protect her. He realizes that he just needs to unleash your power. He sinks into himself, starting to arrange the stars. This time, he manages to put the 7th star in its place, realizing that all the stars are on their own. Finally, it starts releasing its power. Lightning strikes are heard in the surrounding area. Summoned by the hero, a cloud of lightning appears in the guy's hand, the charge of which throws all the bandits away from his sister. After that, Mo-fan asks if they have now realized who they have angered. Impudent men realize that they have encountered a magician. They think they're finished, don't they? Slowly Sapa approaches them, declaring that from now on, they will never be bullied. Over his sister, he asks if they understood him. His hand is at his face at that moment. One of the scoundrels with genuine fear in his eyes. The men grab the victims and run away, saying at last that they understood everything and would never do it again. They'll dare. Mo-fan, on the other hand, is mentally amazed at what is happening, because all he did was release the power of his body. Power, but I didn't expect it to be so powerful. The girl also asks her brother if it was a force. Thunder. After receiving a positive response, the little sister admires, emphasizing that the little brother Mo-fan has become a real magician. The hero notices that it's getting late, so he'll drive her home. Moving home together, a representative of the fair sex decides to find out how long the brother is. Mo-fan was practicing releasing magic. The latter answers that a little less than 6 months, specifying why. These words amaze the interlocutor, because she has heard that the most talented magician. I spent a whole year releasing magic and awakening. The hero thoughtfully repeats after his little sister, mentally noticing that he is really talented. However, noticing the girl's fallen mood, he decides to find out what happened. He thought to himself, he believes that the speed of training is actually good news. The little sister clarifies, and the little brother, I didn't accidentally learn something bad outside of school. Mo-fan does not quite understand what is being said, and the representative of the fair sex explains that it's something like an organization of dark beliefs. The sun completely covers the sky. Horizon. On the territory of the school dormitory falls semi-darkness. The guy is lying on his bed, saying that he himself has trained hard every day, so he doesn't understand why his little sister suspected that he had achieved this success with the help of some other means. Dark organizations. He even wonders what this organization of the Dark Ones is all about. Beliefs. He pulls out a book and starts searching. After a while, he finds what he needs. The Dark Beliefs Organization is a magical organization that threatens security. Citizens of the whole world. Its sphere of influence is huge, spread all over the world. This organization created huge troubles in all corners of the world. Head of the organization, organizational structure, motives and purpose are unknown. They use forbidden magic to speed up the development of magicians. By this, in a dirty way, they bribe young magicians. After reading this, Mo Fan understands that it is better not to. You should show your thunder power more, otherwise he might start having problems. High-heeled footsteps radiate through the corridors of the school. One of the students yawns, saying that again. I'm going to miss practicing magic. His friend notes that every time the old man starts the lesson, I want to fall asleep. A girl with a square hairstyle, very well shaped, dressed in a short top comes into the class. Wearing a tight skirt, she greets the students, then introduces herself. Her name is Tan Yu, and in the future, she will teach them practical lessons. Guys light up with happiness because the teacher, a real beauty. Mo Fan will be his friend, informing him that they have a new practice teacher. The guy states that if in high school will be taught by such a beauty, then he will definitely study perfectly. The hero is the same. He doesn't understand the use of a good appearance because the main thing is good teaching. The interviewee asks you not to pretend to be a smart guy because no one cares about good teaching. Mo Fan urges you to close your mouth and listen to him. Before the lesson starts, the teacher decides to ask who in their class has discovered the power of fire. She's a little surprised when she lifts up two arms. The first is the teacher's daughter, Jo. The girl notes that she has a talent, so she needs to try hard. After that, the teacher approaches the hero, specifying that he also has fire. He confirms it, saying that he's number 48, Mo Fan. The girl draws attention to the pendant on the guy's neck. She turns around, heading back to her own place, at the workplace, and telling them that in this lesson, she wants the students to be ready before they learn. Release their powers, understand how significant they can be, so he will explain to them. What is the power of any element at the initial level? One of the students asks that the teacher should just show them, because this way they will definitely not. They'll waste their time. His friend supports him, laughing. The girl leans over the chatterbox, asking if he wants to know what the initial level of strength is in practice. After that, he points to the practice target and snaps his fingers. The teacher invokes the power of fire, telling the sparks of fire to burn the target. And so it happens. A powerful coil of fire burns out the target, and the guy is horrified to realize that he greatly underestimated. Entry level. Everyone admires this demonstration of skills. Some people can't believe their eyes, but representatives of the beautiful thought that the teacher was just a beautiful vase for children. Admiring, but it turns out to be also cool. The girl, ignoring all this praise, asks how many stars each of them has put in place at the moment. The fat man, he claims that he doesn't know what about the others, but Mo Fan couldn't give a single star because he's a big fan. The exact opposite of Mr. Mubai, the most talented student in their class, and Tom. There is one more star left before the power is released. The teacher leans over Mubai, admitting that he is indeed a talented student. Guy, a little embarrassed by the attention, thanking the teacher for the praise. The same one notices about herself that this Mo Fan was a little strange because she had sensed a great strength in his body and a rare talent. The bell from class rings. The girl informs them that before she lets them go, there is something. They will say in general terms they will soon have a final quarter exam, so there are 3 things which they must remember. First, she advises those who fail the exam to leave school. Second, based on the results, the exam will decide which class they will be assigned to next year. And third, if they hit in the genius class, you will get a chance to use the Galaxy Magic Machine for training. Mo Fan realizes that it is written in the books that the magic machine of the galaxy can significantly increase his efficiency, so he decides that he will definitely get into the class of geniuses. Best in class. According to many, he mentally notices that someone important to him will come to the exam, so he wouldn't let this Mo Fan grab everyone's attention. There are several people in a small arena. In the stands, students communicate with each other. By myself. One of the guys asks what kind of girl is ahead. The interlocutor is amazed that he does not. Knows Mu Ningzu from the Mu family. Not only is she from a noble family, but she's also an excellent magician. At 15, she was admitted to the Royal Academy without any exams. It didn't even touch her. Age limit. The interlocutor freezes in amazement, realizing that the girl is so strong. The friend puts his hand on the hero's shoulder, urging Mo Fan to try harder and pass the entrance exam. Perfect to get into the Royal Academy, because then the Mu family won't be able to stop them from going to the Royal Academy. Mu Ningzu relationship. The bully laughs, then notices that it is not necessary to tell the student, soon to be kicked out of school, something about the Royal Academy. The hero's friend breaks down, asking who the fat guy is talking about. The latter extends his little finger in response, noting that about someone who couldn't even use his magic in class. The teacher says that he doesn't know what's going on with Mo Fan, but if the two of them don't stop right now, messing around, he can kick them out right now. Mu Bai inwardly longs to see how Mo Fan would become a pathetic mongrel, and he would make everyone marvel at his stunning appearance. Opportunities. Events are moved back 2 days. Someone informs Mu Bai that this time for Mu Ningzu will be overseeing the testing, so it's best for the guy not to disappoint him. He also says that he will definitely behave well. Mr. Mu wonders how that kid Mo Fan is doing. The guy tells us that he had awakened the power of fire, but he still hadn't been able to release it. The man strikes. He slammed his hand down on the table, saying that he knew the guy wasn't meant to learn magic, but he can still do it, so they still have to leave him a huge gift. Events are moved to the present. Mu Bai is being summoned. The fat man cheers on his master and the school director notes that there is no need to worry, because they, 3 judges, will evaluate it by the brilliance of this magic ball. The guy focuses on the ball and releases his power. The ball becomes crystal. The judges give the maximum score. Students in school from this, because it will definitely be the most high score in the academy. Someone decides to ask Miss Mu's opinion. The same one says that these are normal ones. Abilities.